Hello and welcome to this episode of Lowdown. My name is Tanner Martin and I'll be your host for today. On this episode we're featuring a local ceramicist, a local band out of Cleveland, and a very uniquely styled artistic place in East Cleveland. Without further delay, let's jump right in.
So my name is Amanda Bacon. I graduated from the University of Akron and I teach pottery. I have a studio in my basement and I also teach and I love it. I'm from Wadsworth, Ohio, and I teach in Cuyahoga Falls at the Art Center. It's kind of a little crazy story how I began. I grew up on a horse farm with horses, and I grew up following my mom around when she would train horses and give horseback riding lessons. And one night, it was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve, I don't remember. It was a snowstorm, we were driving home, and my mom found an older lady walking her horse out in the snow in a storm. And horses can't vomit typically when they get sick. They have a condition called colic, and the vet recommends them to walk the horses. Is pretty much the only thing that you can do to help them and give them comfort, especially if you're at home by yourself. And long story short, my mom helped her. We stayed the night, and my mom ended up saving the horse's life and would not take money in exchange. And she said, well, I see you have your daughter. Let me give her art lessons. The artist was a nationally known artist. She made busts for like presidents of universities and affluent people. She would carve them out of clay and cast them, and had a full studio in her basement. So I began every Saturday morning taking art lessons, and we worked in all different materials, mostly clay, and that's when I fell in love with clay. I draw a lot of my work from growing up with horses. I currently still have horses. I still ride and teach horseback riding as well. My kids show horses, and horses are a daily part of my life. There's hardly a day that goes by that I'm not with our horses or with other people's horses. There's a huge equestrian and animal theme to my work. I incorporate geometry with the animals. If there is geometry, that's also drawn from nature. So I'd say a huge inspiration is looking to nature, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I took art classes all throughout school, and when I graduated from high school, I graduated through the National Art Honor Society, which is similar to the National Honor Society that most people are familiar with. And through that, I got a scholarship for art. And it was a pretty substantial scholarship, though I wanted to go to school for biology. Sorry. I wanted to be a biologist, but I still loved art. And once I got in the upper level math classes, I decided, nope, not for me. I was also taking art classes simultaneously. So naturally, I dropped the biology and focused full steam ahead on art. My original plan was graphic design, because you're told that's really the only way you can make money in the art world. So I needed, to be able to support myself. So I decided graphic design was what I was going to do. My senior year, I passed my junior review, and I'm in my senior level of courses and decided, I hate this. I can't see myself sitting at a computer all day long. I needed to be working with my hands. I needed to be working with materials. I was also taking ceramics courses. I had some holes in my schedule, and that was keeping me as a full-time student. And whenever I needed to fill a hole or fill a gap, it was always a ceramics class. So at that point, I was in the advanced level of ceramics. Dropped graphic design, made my professors furious. They were not happy with me. And I focused completely on ceramics and photography. So I ended up with a minor in photography and a minor in ceramics, and then I was a studio art major. I think the principles that I learned of graphic design and those really specific skills that are needed for graphic design, you can see some of that level of craft in some of my work, that OCD, a lot of graphic elements present in my work. I've sold most of my work, so unfortunately I don't have a lot left over. The bunny teapot and the bird teapot were in a show recently at the Groundhog Show in Akron. So my bird and my bunny teapot, they're teapots made of porcelain, I use black underglaze and then a clear glaze on the outside. If you're familiar with kilns or firing, I usually fire to cone 7, cone 6 sometimes, and an oxidation firing. I love the look of reduction kilns and a gas kiln, but these were done electric. I like having sculptural pieces at the top of my teapot. They're almost always like a bird, a bunny, a horse. I did make a mermaid once, which was pretty cool. I have a cat. I have lots of different ones. I forget how many I've made. I've sold quite a few. I brought my red teapot. My red teapot, I actually made over COVID. I got a lot of work done working over COVID with my studio. I was working in my kitchen. I didn't have my studio made in the basement yet, so everything was in the kitchen, in the dining room. I brought a horse mug that I brought, which is kind of inspired by Arizona out west. The really cool cactuses they have out there that you only find in that area. It's inspired by the American Mustangs of out west. I brought a horse plate with a running horse and also a horseshoe plate. And you can see the graphic elements that I've added. All the graphic elements are something inspired by nature. Alright, so my Instagram is Amanda Bacon Studios. You can message me there, or you can see some of my work there. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of work on Etsy right now. Most of it's either sold or never made it to the Etsy shop. The Etsy shop is Amanda Bacon Studios, all one word. Bacon, like bacon and eggs. Everybody asks, how do you spell it? And I'm like, it's bacon. Yeah, it's a lifelong passion. It's something that if it's in your blood, you know it. It's something you can't ignore. You can try and do other things. Even if you go into psychology or you follow another route, I mean, this is something you can always do on the side. This is always something that is accessible, I feel, at any level. Something as simple as having a sketchbook or, just creating. For years, when I wasn't doing ceramics, I was knitting when I was home with my children when they were little. There's always creative outlets. There's ways you can follow and things you can do. So I would just encourage, just find something that you like and do it. It's great for your mental health, and I don't think you'll be sorry for the time that you've wasted really doing anything creative. And the more you do, it's addicting. The more you do, the more you want to do.
It's always great to see a local craftsman so involved and passionate about what they're doing. Don't go anywhere. Lowdown will be right back after these messages. Up next, we've got a local band out of Cleveland called Post Saga we're featuring. Let's hear them tell us about themselves.
I'm Alex.
I'm Levon.
I'm Dana.
I'm Luke.
I'm Randall, and we're
Post Saga! So we kind of play like a pop rock, indie, like horns here and there, I guess, for some of our music. And we started about almost like 3 years ago, end of 2017. I just wanted to get back into the performance, just going out and being in front of people, because I am a Leo and I just like need the ego, you know what I mean? So I said, hey Levon, I know you're not doing anything. So I said, I said, yeah, we should make something. So then we ended up like recruiting everybody. He's a replacement, but this is us now, almost like 3 years.
Three Musketeers.
These are OG right here. We started in Kent originally, and I think it was more towards the beginning of 2019 where we started playing more in the Cleveland area, and so that's just kind of been our venue and just like the population up here. I feel like Akron a lot of times like super like pop, punk, and we're just not at all. And I feel like Cleveland has a more diversified music scene than down south, so we like to just stay in this area primarily. Obviously if the opportunity arises, like we're totally down for travel. But right now I feel like Cleveland is like a really great place to start growing music because there is so much like there's so many different kinds of people who like different kinds of things instead of one singular thing.
I don't want your love to spend the night. You can always, always make it right. I don't want your love to watch your life.
Actually, it was convenient timing in a way. I'm obviously not convenient because like you don't get to play, but like at the moment the pandemic hit, we didn't have a keyboard player, and so we were really searching. And like, had there not been a pandemic, we would not have Randall, who is like so great. Like, I think things ended up happening for a reason, but not, you know.
I also started taking lessons in the pandemic, so.
That's what it's
It was like a time to like sit back and think about what we're doing, practice more individually. And
Acquire someone who's a very photogenic member of the band.
I was
And here
unemployed.
we are.
It all worked.
It all worked out.
It all worked out.
It all worked out.
So yeah, I mean, I think like there was definitely like we played one gig, one outdoor gig in 2020.
It was like the end of 2020.
Yeah, it was September, and you know that was it, and it felt really good to do that gig and everything. But yeah, you know we're obviously looking forward to the future.
What wasn't so great was playing the backing tracks when you didn't have a keyboard.
Right.
Yeah.
But now we don't have to do
Yeah,
that.
now we don't have to do that.
Yay!
I think also like 2020 gave everybody an opportunity to kind of just like relax, especially from work. Even though people were working from home, I feel like you can also like take a step back mentally and be able to focus on things that you really care about and just evaluating what's important to you. Because I mean, obviously this past year you have to like look at yourself, and I feel like for me especially it was just making time for myself and also just like trying to have fun, because I feel like I haven't had fun in a really long time. I feel like I got closer with him and like with our friend group, so not necessarily music related, but I think just like overall just like a healthier version of yourself. Like I think that has definitely like taken a play into making music. Obviously my dream would be to like do music but also not have people know who I am, but also just like have money. Like that's kind of what it is. But like I said, like I love a good challenge, and I love like attracting different kinds of people to work with, like you guys and like this other video guy that we worked with, and like also networking. Like I think like opportunities like this like are a huge thing for networking. I've met so many people just like from shows or from other people knowing somebody, and like they're always willing to work with me and also have it be where we're both like benefiting on both ends. And then they're like, oh yeah, I know somebody from somewhere, and like maybe you should reach out to them. So it's like it's this whole community like coming together, and we're both gaining something from it in a like from a professional standpoint, essentially. So
Great symbiotic.
yeah, like I would love from like this kind of networking to like lead up into like playing the House of Blues. Like I don't care if like we don't have like 1 million followers or whatever. I think it's just the opportunities that lie ahead just from meeting somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, so we did this project and like this looks really good, and I can have this on my resume and I can move forward doing other things, and I can do this for another band. So it's just like your profession is growing when you're collaborating with people. And I think that's really cool about Cleveland. If you were to go anywhere in LA, they'd be like, I want $10,000 from you. But it's not like a buddy kind of thing anymore. And nobody cares. It's sad, honestly. Like Cleveland's really good when it comes to just having like a very small community and being able to like, yeah, and just building each other up, which is really, really cool. That's what I like.
One last time, baby, oh baby, I can't be with you tonight. Just know that you're always, baby, oh baby. You hurt me one last time, one last time.
I'd say like a big part of that like hunger for like the next thing, like I think the most important show or performance is the next one. Like whatever's coming up next, like that's, I want to practice and I want to get everything down and just have a good time, but also put on a really good show. And like, that's what it's about for me. It's like I want every time to be really good and really fun, and like, if suddenly I was like, this is your last show ever or whatever, this last performance, that would be heartbreaking, just not knowing that there's not another show.
Yeah.
And like I think it's not always the show. I actually really look forward to practice. Like it's always about next practice too. Like next practice, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta be better.
It's the creative process, right?
And that's I think a big fun part for me is like just getting closer with each other and like closer as musicians and as friends, and just working on this thing together and trying to make it better each time.
Reservoir Dogs.
I think sometimes, like, not that we take ourselves too seriously, but we are like, I feel like at the core, like, we're like, that's not good enough. Like, we need to try harder on this, or like, we really need to be sharp with this. Like, I feel like having that kind of mentality kind of pushes each of us to just be like, okay, we gotta be better, we gotta write better, we gotta sound better, kind of thing. And like, that's what's really great about these guys. Like, when we focus really, really well, and we're super productive. I think that's hard to find sometimes.
The hunger about playing, like, just playing out more is, it's like, I mean, when you play like live shows, like it's just I don't know, it just feels great. It just feels awesome when everyone's locking in and everything is just happening the right way without it, like, even if you were to like plan it to happen the right way, just when things just happen to fall into place and like brews are happening and just things are like, your creativity like takes over for things that you wouldn't typically do. Like, I think that's what's like makes like a good live performance stand out from any sort of like record or like a studio recording or something like that. So being amidst that and like sort of chasing that, I feel like is a way to not only like better yourself as a part of a musical group or anything, but also just a way to better yourself as a musician. And at the end of the day, I think it's just the best way to get the most optimal performance out of a collection of people. And a great performance is something that obviously just leads to...
You can't do it once.
Yeah. It's just like, it leads to everyone else enjoying it more. And like we talk about how much like we love music, we love being part of this thing, but also like we want to like let it be known that we love having an audience and having them enjoy it too, and just like having them be a part of the show that they're really gonna like and maybe get something out of. Because if we're not playing for the audience, we're not playing for people to like and share music, then like, I mean, yeah, we're playing for ourselves, but like it's just not the same. Like, what's the point if you can't share something great with somebody else?
Exactly.
What a good, talented group of local musicians. Don't go anywhere. We'll catch you right after this break. For our last feature today, we're going to show a very uniquely creative place out of East Cleveland called Negative Space. Let's show what they're all about.
So I'm Gadi Zamir. I'm the director and founder of Negative Space Gallery. I started a nonprofit. Most of my artwork was done in my basement, and I was trying to find an outlet, so I started a gallery, and then in 2013 we became a nonprofit, and I wanted to give opportunities to other artists. And currently we have Tessa LaBaron, she's working here, and we have Linda Dempsey, and we have a recording studio that's coming in here, Sunside Media. Linda does a lot of driftwood sculptures, and they're very intricate and delicate. And Tessa does a lot of acrylics. She did a lot of murals throughout Cleveland and in Geneva on the Lake. And those are the artists that we're working permanently, that have a permanent studio. Yes, so we have every month we have on the last Saturday of every month we have open mic night. On the third Friday of every month we have a concert series. Dave Ziggy is on my board of director, and he is in charge of it, so he books local bands. And then we have third Thursday sketch night, and Tessa LaBaron, she's the one in charge of it. We bring a model, and she helps participants. And the open mic is run by Sean Seibert, and he's been with me since the beginning. But every month we have a different show that we curate either here or in a common space, common area. And on average we showcase maybe 20 artists per year, between the two spaces. More than all, I like, as being a director here for 11 years now, the most I get inspired from the work I see of local people. To be honest, I can see there's so much raw talent, around us, and I curated a lot of shows here, and every time I see a piece that triggers something else in me, so I drive inspiration from artists that are around me. So I was born and raised in Israel, in Jerusalem. I lived most of my life there. Well, actually half of my life there and half of my life here, almost half and half. I lived in Jerusalem till I was about 18 years old, and then I joined the army. I was a combat soldier in the Israeli Defense Forces. And then I met my ex-wife. She was from here after the army, and I ended up here. I traveled to Far East after the army for a little bit before coming here. And I've been in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. As a kid, growing up in Israel, I came from middle class, and there's tension and stress coming from a lot of directions in Israel. You have terror, you have war, constant war, you have bus explosions. I lost a couple of friends in bus explosions, and I was really trying to find an outlet, kind of like to something that I would have control on. And I found out that, when you make art, that's the only thing that you'll have absolute control on. No one can tell you how to do it, when to do it. So my art probably started as an escape from reality in a way. I kind of like try to create or express either the world I fear or the world I want to create. And throughout my outbringing, I trying to make sense of it all. What should I put a goal for myself? And I found out that if I put happiness as a goal, to find something that I love and love doing, and it's right there in front of me. I don't have to look very far. It's a path that is, made for me. So I think that we all have each one is like a rat race. That everyone is looking for their happiness, the way that the thing or the activity or the structure that will give them happiness. And some people set goals that it's very hard to achieve, but like I have 3 kids, and I tell them that always seek for your happiness. Try to live modest, make sure that your necessities are met, that you have roof over your head and food in your stomach, and then you can engage in something you really love doing for the rest of your life. I get inspired from basically everything. It could be a conversation, a song, a fear, a hope. That's how I operate. If I have a story or a thing that I want to illustrate, then I start, and it usually falls in place. I'll find the right piece of wood, and the grains will work with it, to tell the story. So once I have the idea, everything comes in place. I am currently working on a series of 12 clocks, grandfather clocks. This is one of them. That I the show is going to be called It's All About Time, and I want to start all the clocks all at once at the end of the year. I finished thus far 8 clocks, and I'm working with the Cleveland clock repair on Coventry, and my son Yuval Zamir, he helps me in a couple of them for detailing, and that's a project I'm really excited about. This is one of the pieces that I'm working on for the clock series I mentioned before. I'm making a series of 12 grandfather clocks. This is going to be the 12th hour because that took me the longest. It took about 10 years that I'm working on. So I'll show you. It's a big pocket watch basically. There's an old man. The cuckoo clocks are his eyes, the hourglass is his nose, and the gears are like his mustache and a beard. And he's holding a pocket watch. And all the rats are kind of like, if you see the rats, and they're kind of like operating the wheels. And it's all wood burnt. So basically, all the gears that you see here went like this. And now I'm working on all the sand in the hourglass, and we just like dots like that. It was very time-consuming working all these gears. I took it on and off. It started with this square in the middle, and then it grew to incorporate all the outside wheel. And in the back of it, turn it around. And that's the inner part of the clock. And again, the mice kind of like run the wheels. There's another figure here, and there's a snake on the frame that took one of the rats in his mouth. Kind of like that's how basically time stops. And all of this is gonna be when I'm done, and we'll have a pendulum and a few other elements. I'm still working on highlights and carving, and hopefully it'll be done in a month or so. Okay, so for social media, we have Negative Space Gallery on Facebook. My name is Gadi Zamir, Gadizamir. You can friend me on Facebook. We have Instagram, Negative Space, and we have a website, Work in Progress. We updated it.
That does it for this episode of Lowdown. If you like us, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Tanner Martin, and that's The Lowdown.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV, make media, make a difference.